The MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship 2019. Literally a very warm welcome to Thruxton, the fastest circuit on the calendar for the MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship.
Very great to see you back on track as we come into Thruxton around here. Now, we didn't see you at Pembrey.
Yeah, I've got a very busy year this year, one thing and another. So obviously I don't want to get rusty. So we're sort of handpicking a few of the meetings. We will be at Germany for the next meeting. But we look at doing probably 4 or 5 out of the 8. And then next year, hopefully back full time.
How's the truck going so far?
Well, we rebuilt it over the winter period. So yeah, we've done a major sort of refurb on it, really, lots of changes to it.
Here's how they qualified here at Thruxton. Ryan Smith, the championship leader, on pole from Dave Jenkins and Ricky Collett. In Division 2, Paul Rivette clear of championship leader Luke Garrett, with Steve Powell in 3rd, Simon Cole next up from Adam Bint and John Powell.
Just seen the qualifying times and 3rd, so something's gone pretty well so far.
Yeah, it's straight out of the box with his new engine. We had it for Brands Hatch, but unfortunately had some teething troubles and didn't get it back in time for Pembrey, so this is his first run out with it. So it bodes very well, with a few more settings to change, and hopefully we'll be on the front of the grid. The power comes in much quicker now than what it did before you had to really rev the engine to get the best out of it, whereas now you don't, you just let it grunt away and pull you through.
A fantastic start for the weekend, and what a great circuit to drive these trucks around as well. You know, it's so quick out the back there. I know the circuit really well anyway. I used to work at the race school here and have raced here many times in Clios and other cars as well. So yeah, it's fantastic. It's the first qualifying session that we've actually got to compete in properly this year. You know, Brand's the first one we had issues with the turbo blowing off. Pembrey we didn't even make qualifying, so it's nice to get out and actually get a proper qualifying session in, and nice to be starting on the front row for the first time.
Paul Rivette rightly pleased with pole position, but it was Luke Garrett who headed the trucks into a very busy opening lap here on the fastest track in the country. The action came thick and fast in Division 2. Luke Garrett came through for another win from Paul Rivette, Simon Cole in 3rd. In Division 1, Ryan Smith on pole position was initially headed by David Jenkins, and these two arch championship rivals fought tooth and nail right the way around the track. And it was Ryan Smith, championship leader, winning from Jenkins with Rick Collett in 3rd.
Very hard race that. We're over the moon from Pembrey. We broke down in Pembrey, had endless issues there. The truck's got the pace now, we're getting there. We was catching Paul as well, which I reckon another lap we probably might have got 2nd. Yeah, I'd race by Steve, but me and Steve always race close. It's good racing.
The first of our reverse grid races for Division 2, and on pole position it is Jim Bennett and Trevor Martin, two great mates off circuit, and they're about to get going with Adam Bint on row 2. Brad Smith is next up from Eric Forstrom, and on row 3 the yellow number 3 machine of Steve Powell. Then it's Simon Cole and Luke Garrett there in the 42. So watch for lights out. The lights go out now. Is it going to be Jim Bennett or Trevor Martin to lead them away? Jim looks a little bit recalcitrant off the line, and it is Trevor Martin who leads. Quick start from Luke Garrett. Jim Bennett being swallowed up by all the other trucks. Simon Cole about to go to his inside with Eric Forstrom to the outside of him, but it's Trevor Martin leading from Brad Smith, who looks around the outside line in the dash. Steve Powell in yellow is 3rd. Luke Garrett already up to 4th, side by side at the moment with Adam Bint, and should consolidate that with the inside line on the second part of the complex. But Binty has got the inside line for Seagrave and manages to lead that around, but a little bit of a run I think happening with Luke Garrett. Brad Smith trying to get momentum here, and he's going to come offline and sees a gap and looks at the inside line of the E.G. Martin truck, who has seen him. Good awareness from Trevor Martin there in the race lead, and it's Brad Smith who goes through into the race lead. We've not seen Brad on the top step of the podium. He has been on the podium this year, Brad Smith, but not on the top step. It doesn't get any easier, truck racing. You have to maintain the form, maybe improve the performance of the truck. Up into second goes Steve Powell. Brad incidentally fifth in the championship. Steve Powell third in the standings. There is Luke Garrett, who's now got ahead of Adam Bint. So climbing up Woodham Hill for the first time in this one, and Trevor Martin about to be challenged by the 42. Steve Powell is going for the lead, took a very wide line into the chicane there. Behind our camera, the massed ranks of spectators cheering on, getting some very spectacular views of Binty getting it sideways out of the chicane. Simon Cole to the inside, Steve Powell to the inside of the race leader, has a look, hasn't quite got the momentum to do it. Massed ranks on the banks here right the way around this 2-mile circuit, and there is plenty of viewing here at Thruxton. The only downside to a meeting is the queuing to get in and maybe the queuing to get out, but it's well worth it with so many great vantage points on these big events. As Trevor Martin, look at this, the size of these trucks, how they handle them around the twists and turns of not only the chicane but the complex where they are now. Binty up into fourth, Trevor Martin down to fifth and challenging back. Martin not giving up without a fight, but Adam Bint in the newly reliveried for this year Volvo White has only actually had 2 classified finishes so far this season. You won't thank me for reminding you of that fact. There is Eric the Viking, Eric Forstrom, race winner at Brands Hatch, won the opening race of the year in the Sisu. He's had a little bit of a struggle since then, and in truck with the race leader Brad Smith in the second of our 4 Division 2 MV Commercial British Truck Racing Association Championship events here. Steve Powell giving chase, so too is Luke Garrett, who's looking to make it 2 out of 2 here. Garrett with 4 wins so far this year, leads the championship on 138 points. Paul Rivette second on 112. Steve Powell is third on 99. So Powell's aim this weekend to try and close down on Paul Rivette, who's a little way back in shot at the moment as the leaders come through the chicane once again. Adam Bint here, I think he's showing much better form this weekend. The Bint racing machine going well, and Brad Smith coming under pressure here from Steve Powell, who looks wide. He's got Luke Garrett right behind this. Binty, Paul Rivette second in the championship next up, then John Powell, followed by Eric Forstrom. So the reverse grid right through into the lead. Steve Powell's got the lead. Superb stuff around Allard, now down into the complex they go, and Steve Powell's got the lead. Brad Smith demoted to second. Luke Garrett will try and put a move on him as well. Might well wait till they're out of the complex. No, he doesn't. He has a sniff down the inside line at Seagrave. Let's have a look from the onboard of Brad Smith. Are we going to see Luke Garrett come through on the inside? No, we're not. Brad moves over to the right-hand side of the track, so defensive there. No, Luke Garrett's lost a little bit of ground. Adam Bint trying to close in on them, but it's Steve Powell who leads this race. And Steve looking for a 3rd win of the season, Steve Powell. On 99 points at the moment, so this, assuming he finishes, and no reason to suspect that he won't, will take him up across the 100-point barrier for the season. 15 points for a win, 14 for second, and so on down, reducing by 1 point per place in the top 15. Fastest lap of the race also gains another point. So if you have a problem in the race, you have to pit. You can come back out, try and grab the points, as we watch Jim Bennett, man from Bungay, and the Seddon Atkinsons. Had a good number of finishes, Jim, and still 14 points shy of Simon Cole, as Luke Garrett now negotiates Brad Smith to go second. So Smith down to third. Adam Bint busy chasing to try and come up and pass him as well. So Steve Powell out front, and few would bet against Steve Powell in this race. Now he's got the lead, but he's coming under pressure from arch rival Luke Garrett out front. Fastest lap at the moment is with Garrett. Brad Smith still running in third. Binty wants a bit of that. No, Binty would love another podium. Adam, who is working real hard at the moment in the number 5 truck, the man from Witney. But Brad Smith holding sway at the moment in that 3rd place. The reverse grid racing absolutely spot on for these trucks. They say that overtaking is a premium in motorsport, but these boys do it whatever the weather, whatever the conditions, and whatever circuit they're racing on. Look at Luke Garrett trying to hunt down on Steve Powell. This could be Steve's 3rd win of the season, so he's gunning for it. Here is the view from the 3rd place man, Brad Smith, still chasing hard. Let's reset the camera, as you can see bottom right, but hey, it's giving us some great shots on the far side of this awesome circuit here at Thruxton. And here comes Luke Garrett having a look on the inside line there of Steve Powell, but the Dines truck holds on, and now Garrett's being forced to go up Woodham Hill onto the outside line, maybe trying to get Steve to cover the outside line to perhaps switch back for a gap on the inside, but Steve is wise to that. Great racecraft there from Steve Powell, will not be harried or forced into a move by Luke Garrett, and it's Steve Powell that leads out of the chicane down towards the checkered flag. Steve Powell takes the win. 2nd position goes to Luke Garrett. The gap just half a second. 3rd place is Brad Smith. Great result for Brad, a 2nd podium of the season for him, but it was Steve Powell that took the honours in that one. A 3rd win of the year from Luke Garrett and Brad Smith. Adam Bint 4th from Paul Rivett and John Powell. Eric Forstrom 7th from John Bowler and Trevor Martin. Jim Bennett completing the top 10.
Steve, for me, that's got to be one of the best races I've seen so far this season for you.
Yeah, it was good, yeah. We've had a good couple of close ones this year, but that was brilliant. We had Brad held off really well for about 3 laps. And I thought, if I can get past him, I've got an half a chance. And then we gap Luke a bit, and then the tyres went off at the end of it, and he caught me up a bit. But I wouldn't usually go around the outside around that bend, but I tried the inside 3 laps, and it didn't work. So I thought, I've got to have a go, you know. Luke was catching in on me and the others, and I see the last lap also, we just took it home, you know. So, brilliant race, good for the team.
You know, obviously fair play to Brad. It was he made us work for it. Obviously Steve broke away first, so it was my time to get past Brad. But yeah, once I was past Brad, obviously it was just on the hunt to catch Steve. But as you know, on this track we've got a load of tyre fade and brake fade, and it just, you know, ran out of time really. But maybe another lap we could have been there.
Just saying to Steve, your progress over the last few years as regards to racecraft and style, you held some good lines there for the first half of that race at least.
Yeah, I know we had to get out in front from the start and see what gap I could extend. I knew they'd be coming, but that was it, to make it as wide as possible. Through the complex, it's all about getting the corner right in the first corner, then braking it in the next one. So, yeah, I tried my best.
This livery on this truck looks amazing. The performance is good as well, but I believe you're going to possibly put it on the market in order to actually finance the new truck in development.
Yeah, it's up for sale at the minute, and we're trying to see who's out there to buy and progress into the sport. It'd be an ideal way to get into the sport. It's a competitive truck, and it's a truck that needs to be loved and driven properly. The new truck is still mid-build at the minute, and if it sells, we'll be selling for a couple of race times, so then hopefully we can get the new truck out for later on in the year.
The last race that you just did, great racing. People don't realise how hard it is on tyres. You've probably got the best example of what it's like tyres-wise after one race.
Yeah, it's very dangerous around here, very hot today and very abrasive. If you want to have a look at the tyre, it's very, very worn, and to the point where it's ripping apart, and it might have blown out in a couple of laps, but you got to keep pushing.
The first reverse grid race for Division 1 here at Thruxton, with Ray Coleman on pole, John Newell to his outside, Mark Taylor and Richard Collett on the second row, David Jenkins and Ryan Smith completing the grid. Ryan Smith extended the championship lead by 2 points in race number 1. He took the win and the fastest lap, so he is 5 points clear now of David Jenkins. John Newell third in the standings. It's Mark Taylor, who we're on board with. He is fourth. It's a good start by everybody around Allard for the first time, in towards the complex. Complex consists of the first corner, the left where they are now. Mark Taylor challenging Richard Collett. He's seen off Collett. He's going to look on the inside line of John Newell. There's a gap there, and I think they've clattered. So through Campbell, this is Cobb corner. They're still side by side. Mark using some of the runoff, and John Newell, who's right on him there. They're side by side, and contact between the two. Newell goes off on the grass. Taylor through into second place, and John Newell has to get it back on track. Look how hard he has to work. Switches, gear, steering, so much to do on these trucks these days, but John Newell is now in 6th position. Mark Taylor is in 2nd. Richard Collett challenging him. So good to see the Halifax man back on the pace. Race winner here at Thruxton in the past, probably taken many over his careers, but since we've been covering it, I remember him winning the race 5 a couple of seasons ago. 4 race format, of course, this year, as Richard now heads the two Taylor's team trucks side by side. The left-hand one is the reigning champion, Ryan Smith, making the move on his teammate as they climb Woodham Hill. Richard Collett still 2nd. This is allowing Ray Coleman to get away at the moment. So Coleman, the race leader. Ryan Smith knew he was going to get that. So another pass executed by Ryan Smith. If you counted up how many passes Ryan and David Jenkins do over the course of the season, Jenk's about to put one in there on Mark Taylor and nip through into 4th place, which he does. The Digraph Hiab back machine going through into 4th position. Mark Taylor down to 5th, and then John Newell. John's on the grass. He's going to be very keen to close up on Mark Taylor and nick that place back from him. I'm guessing without the side-by-side rubbing that we had on lap number 1, but it was all good spectator stuff down there as Richard Collett is now being challenged by Ryan Smith, and Smith read that well. The multi-champion goes through on the inside line. Richard Collett fighting well though, that new engine working well for Richard Collett. I tell you what, the podium is not going to be that far away from Richard Collett here in the 95 truck, running well, although he's got the Digraph logo looming in his mirrors, very large indeed, and Dave Jenkins will be after another podium. Jenkins' aim here is to keep Ryan Smith very, very much within sight, but Richard Collett is putting the pressure on the championship leader. Meanwhile, Ray Coleman is out front, the man from Potter's Bar, leading this race. It will be so good to see Ray Coleman bag a podium today, if not a win. He had a podium at Brands Hatch in race 4, and you heard him chatting to Barry at the start of the programme. A limited campaign this year, so good to see him out. He's going to be out next time at the Nürburgring as well, as Ryan Smith looking comfortable ahead of Richard Collett now in 3rd. Collett still fending off David Jenkins, and then that great battle for 5th behind. John Newell trying to get back in front. Ryan Smith's teammate Mark Taylor. Mark, who has had a brace of podia this year, podium at Brands Hatch, and also in, was it race 2 at Pembrey? No, race 1 at Pembrey, race 2 at Brands Hatch. So 2 podiums, first career podiums for Mark Taylor. Not going to be a podium in this one unless fortunes go awry for these guys. As talking of podiums, Dave Jenkins goes through to 3rd place, passes Richard Collett, and it is now Ryan Smith out front from Ray Coleman. So Smith leading from Coleman, and Ryan Smith on his way, fastest lap again, lights ablaze for him. Look how much of a lead he's developed, as diving down the inside line here is Ray Coleman, but David Jenkins has got the inside and claims 2nd position. Richard Collett might get the whiff of a podium as well as they head towards Church. John Newell has recovered magnificently from that incident on lap 1, but it is Ryan Smith who leads the way here in this one, having built up a very, very big lead. Jenkins has done all that he can, and this is damage limitation for David Jenkins, although, having said that, Ray Coleman, who was alluding to maybe being a little bit race rusty in his interview, is far from it, and this is looking like a podium for Ray Coleman. But it's going to be another win for Ryan Smith, and it's going to be win number 7 of the 2019 campaign. He will move on to 150 points, I think, after this one. I'll have to double check that for you. Showboats for the crowd here. He's got the time to do that before he gets to the checker. Smith wins. The gap on the last lap was about 10 seconds, and they're fighting and squabbling, and it is David Jenkins who takes 2nd, now clear from Ray Coleman, with Richard Collett 4th. John Newell closing down on Richard Collett for 5th place, and Mark Taylor, who is still running in 6th position, but Another fine, hard-earned win for the championship leader and defending champion Ryan Smith. Confirmation of the result, Jenkins second from Ray Coleman, who completes the podium.
2 out of 2, first place is there. I think that second one you probably enjoyed more, fighting the way from the back.
Yeah, it's a lot better fighting us way through the back, and obviously we had the pace and we just picked us time and space, and yeah, fantastic crowd turnout as well. But all the guys are going well. The next race is all trucks, so a lot more overtaking, which will be better. Just a quick mention, this is Harry. He's come to support truck racing. I've just given him my first place trophy, and he's really excited. So it's about working with fans and giving a little bit back. They pay a lot of money to come and watch us, and we've got to put a show on, and yeah, today's been a good day so far.
Ray, we talked about the improvements to the truck, and that certainly paid off there. You held your pace there for a long time.
Yeah, no, it was good. The truck was a lot better. We've done quite a few iterations, as I said yesterday, and we was more or less on the pace there. So now we're going to go back, watch the footage, do a couple more adjustments. You know, there's only probably a second or so in it, and let's see what this afternoon brings. But yeah, certainly happy with that, and the truck was handling a lot better, so thanks for the team, and also the catering side, because that makes a big difference.
Steve, we're 2019 season, a busy one. We're already round 3. Now, I've got to say, this inner paddock is looking very impressive.
It's all going well, isn't it? You know, we've got large crowds here this weekend. We've got our new title sponsor that's just starting to fit in. We've got lots of trade and industry. The atmosphere in the paddock's better. The standard of truck preparation is really good again. You know, teams really put in a lot of effort to present their trucks as smart as they can be.
But even the mechanics of it, the engines, the cleaner burning fuels, etc., we're getting there now.
Yeah, we've introduced a new BTRA safety mechanic, so hopefully any small problems can be ironed out before they actually go out on the track and lose valuable track time.
We've got a show truck parade, we've got everything for the family really.
Yeah, well obviously this is the home of BARC, their home circuit. We've got a Red Hours fly pass, which is I'm really happy about, but we've also got show truck parades on Sunday. We've got 120 local hauliers trucks here on show. So, you know, this really is a weekend family truck festival.
Race 3 of the weekend, a combined grid. Fastest off the front, but Division 1 and Division 2. Ryan Smith on pole for Division 1 with David Jenkins alongside Paul Rivette, and Luke Garrett are on pole for Division 2. The grid's here, the second fastest of each driver's lap times from the qualifying session yesterday. So 2 races for the race fans to enjoy here. The Division 1 ranks here. Ryan Smith already gets an early lead. Dave Jenkins to his outside, Richard Collett third. Then it's Mark Taylor and John Newell side by side again. Those two renewing their battle with Ray Coleman in 6th position off the start. Ray really showing some pace after qualifying. Division 2 boys get underway. Paul Rivette is passed off the line again by Luke Garrett. We've got Eric Forstrom towards the back with the Division 1 runners. And they're already at the complex. Richard Collett is now being chased by John Newell, who's got ahead of Mark Taylor. Paul Rivette running in 2nd place now from pole position, chasing Luke Garrett, the earlier race winner. Paul Rivette gets it sideways and bang! Not what we wanted to see. That is a very, very heavy hit on Rivette's truck. It looked like Paul lost the back end. We didn't see from the outfield why that was. Could have been avoidance, might have been a mechanical problem, but Steve Powell has given that a very heavy knock. And that's 2nd and 3rd in the championship, both out of the race as championship leader. Luke Garrett will extend the championship lead here if he finishes it real big time. He's already got a lead of 30 points in the championship. Now you saw some tyre smoke there from Eric Forstrom immediately ahead. That's what it looks like from Brad Smith's truck. So Jenkins 2nd, chasing Ryan Smith, who has got such a huge lead at the moment. Smith doing what he has been doing so well this year, putting the Taylor's truck on pole position and then getting away and starting to build a very early lead. There is Adam Bint from Eric Forstrom, who is really struggling. We saw him struggling with that tyre. The tyre smoke, it's caused even more problems, and it's just not gripping. The one thing you need around Thruxton is plenty of grip. And Eric Forstrom looks like it's going to be a retirement for the Sisu. I reckon only his 3rd retirement of the year. Eric Forstrom sadly into retirement, and it is Ryan Smith who is well clear. Now there is another truck between Ryan Smith and this trio, and that is the truck of David Jenkins, who is in second place. But as we focus on these three having a great battle for third place, Richard Collett third, John Newell in fourth place, and then Ray Coleman in fifth. Ray keeping in touch with the podium battle. He won't do so by kicking up dirt. I love the comment about thanking the caterers. What a thoughtful man Ray Coleman is. There's so many, everyone thanks teams and that, but not nice and specific that Ray did that after the last race, and he's still there chasing hard. Here's Ryan Smith though. Let's put this in context. Ryan Smith, we bang on rather a lot about how many we'll come back to Ryan because that is in pit lane. Steve Powell has made it back to pit lane, but loads of damage. That's going to be a doubtful in my book for race 4. Here's Ryan Smith again, and again, okay, he started this one off the front because remember we have 2 front of the grid races now for the fastest and 2 reverse grid races, but in this one he hasn't had to pass anybody, but he has built a lead over David Jenkins, and I'm going to take nothing away from David Jenkins either, because he too has pulled away from the rest of the fighters that we saw in Division 1. We're now back with Division 2. This is Adam Bint running in second place, so Binty having a good strong run here, and as you heard, that truck is for sale. Back with Division 1, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Richard Collett here, finally getting some reliability. The Brands Hatch opening round of the year, he had 1 start and a non-finish, so at this meeting he's picked up his first points. There is the race leader, and you saw a flash of David Jenkins in second position. So whilst Ryan Smith has done the business out front, so too is the second place man David Jenkins. Here is the leader in Division 2. Luke Garrett has got a massive lead in this race and the championship as well. He'll move on from 153 points to, he's got fastest lap as well, be 169 points in the championship. Paul Rivette was on 1, 2, 3, won't move for that, so Luke Garrett could actually park the truck at the end of this race, go home and still have the championship lead. Here is David Jenkins, great job from him. There's Jim Bennett in 28 towards the maybe. Now I was just working out whether Jim's going to be lapped before the end of this race. He gamely goes on in the Seddon Atkinson, and I reckon Ryan Smith on the current pace may just catch him. It's going to be nip and tuck between now and the end of the race as the Luke Garrett continues on his way. Graham Powell having a decent run as well. It's nice to see Graham Powell on camera. 3 retirements and a 9th at Brands Hatch, so good to see him getting stuck in, and he's 4th in class at the moment, as you can see. John Powell is immediately ahead of him, so John completing the Division 2 podium at the moment, and Graham, whilst showing some signs of wear on the truck, is still on circuit as Richard Collett has pulled out a little bit of a lead in that 3rd position over John Newell. There is David Jenkins working hard in 2nd place in the Digraph Hiab Jenkins Truck Sport machine. Look how much of a gap he's got over the battle for 3rd. So both he and Ryan Smith have worked so hard off over the course of this race to build a huge gap out, and this is fastest off. I know a lot of drivers will say that they preferred the championship format with the fastest off the front only in race 1, but you know what, we're still seeing some good racing in the mid-order. These two working hard. Once you get the space in these races, about getting the extra point for fastest lap. There is Luke Garrett, well clear, and just trying to work out who's going to see. John Bowler's not in this race, so Paul Rivette, Steve Powell, John Bowler, Brad Smith might well go into 3rd place in the championship in this race, but he's 5th, so 10 points. I'm going to have to do the maths after the race anyway. Here is Binty, not that far ahead at the moment of John Powell, who is going to maybe move up ahead of Eric Forstrom in this race as well in the championship standings. And Richard Collett looking like a podium for Richard Collett here, because Ray Coleman is keeping John Newell busy in the closing stages. The crowd have had a superb battle between these 3. It's now between the 2 of them for 4th place, so the first non-podium finish, or first non-podium place, and Mark Taylor not that far behind as well. As the 18 truck heads Ray Coleman, I think he's got the better of him for now. Meanwhile, we said it was going to be nip and tuck at the end. This is the last lap. Jim Bennett, I think, might have a lap put on him by the overall race leader and Division 1 championship leader. Ryan Smith goes through on the inside line, does put a lap on Bennett. Jim won't have to do another lap. Ryan Smith wins again, 3 out of 3 this weekend. David Jenkins, another podium for Jenks. Meanwhile, here's the battle for third place. Richard Collett has been closed down on now on the closing laps by John Newell, who's having a run, and John Newell gets in sideways. I thought he was going to look up the inside line, and he did. If he'd have carried on going forward, maybe that was showboating, I don't know. But anyway, he finishes 4th. Richard Collett is back on the truck racing podium. There is Mark Taylor, who finishes in 6th. And the next truck to come round is going to be the lead Division 2 truck of Luke Garrett, who is about 10 seconds clear of Adam Bint, with John Nelson Powell, next up in the number 6 truck, who is going to grab a podium. Good to see John on the podium. Congratulations to Ryan Smith and Luke Garrett, our 2 winners. Binty will take 2nd. There he is. There's the checkered flag for Binty, and 3rd place goes to John Powell. Let's take a look at the overall result here of our 3rd race for each of the categories at Thruxton. Ryan Smith, the winner from David Jenkins and Richard Collett. John Newell next from Ray Coleman and Mark Taylor. Division 2 headed by Luke Garrett from Adam Bint. John Powell and brother Graham. Then it was Brad Smith.
That was probably 15 minutes of the fastest truck racing you'll ever see. If it wasn't for Ryan, we'd look brilliant here this weekend, wouldn't we? You know, I mean, the pace was just absolutely relentless at the front. We were both went faster than we went in qualifying. You know that, and still towards the end of the race, we both got the tyre management under control now. Yeah, no excuses, just a little bit outpaced then, but a great result for us nonetheless.
Paddy, when we spoke to you yesterday when you got 3rd place, you weren't that happy with engines and so forth. Clearly you've sorted it.
Well, we haven't sorted it, but we found out it's an electrical gremlin. We're quite happy that the engine's okay, it's just the technology that's letting me down.
2 podiums though in the weekend, and we've still got the grand final.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be on the podium for that one. The lads are working hard with a bit of alteration to do. We're like a pogo stick out there today, so we need to make a few alterations and we should be up there.
I seen that Paul was right on my tail going into the complex. I heard some tyre squeaks, looked in the mirror, and I just seen Paul spinning. So yeah, it was a bit of drama for the first few corners, but I seemed to break away and just sort of plod along at my own pace, really.
Grand final race to go, another combined grid, but not too much turnaround time. So I take it you're good to go anyway.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple more tyres on rims that we're going to put on because, like I said before, it's quite a tyre eater here. So, but besides that, the truck's set up fine. So yeah, hopefully it's just an easy swap the wheels round and off we go.
Luke Garrett makes all the prep sound so easy, doesn't he? Swap the wheels round and get back out there. He's on row 3. We've got the Division 2 trucks off the front, headed by Jim Bennett and Brad Smith. The Division 1 trucks, therefore, in a bit of a pursuit race here. Mark Taylor and John Newell off the front of the grid in this one. And we don't have Ray Coleman, sadly, in this race. Just the 5 Division 1 trucks. Wish Ray well. Look forward to seeing him later on in the season. So, Luke Garrett, both the championship leaders, starting on row 3 of their respective grids. Luke Garrett looking to try and gain another win here in Division 2. Good to see Steve Powell and also Paul Rivette out. Loads of work done by them. The Division 2s are underway. Our inset is... Look at that, Garrett's through into lead position already. The Division 1s are a long way behind. I'll be surprised if we get the Division 1s too far up the Division 2 grid by the end of the race, but we'll see how that goes as the Division 1s get ready for their start. David Jenkins looking very keen. Lights are out. Jenkins going to the outside line, 3 wide as they go into Allard. Mark Taylor leading. John Newell next up. Richard Collett on the inside. David Jenkins in the high-ab machine outside. Gets a touch on the grass. Look how much momentum he lost there. Jenkins down to 5th. Ryan Smith passes him. Smith challenging for 4th place on Richard Collett. Collett hard on the brakes. Locks up. Clouts the side of John Newell, who's been in some physical action there this weekend, and Richard Collett's not going to be a podium in this one, I don't think, in Division 1 as Luke Garrett leads. Brad Smith is 2nd. Brad Smith, I think, 2nd in the championship standings now as well. I reckon he's on 127 points. Needs to be confirmed by the championship organisers. Graham Powell is next up from John Bowler, who sat out the last race. You can see the bits missing on the truck. He's 6th in the championship. Paul Rivette, I think, still 3rd. We'll get the final table for you, obviously, at the end of the proceedings for today's programme. But it's Luke Garrett, the leader from John Powell, who's climbed from 7th into 5th at this meeting so far. And John in 3rd, coming under pressure from his brother Steve, with Brad Smith in 2nd. This a podium battle. Graham Powell in the mix as well. So the 3 brothers all together. It is a family sport. On track, very much off track as well, as the Division 1 battle for the lead comes up into the chicane. Ryan Smith through into 2nd, rides the curbs. Look at the precision on Ryan Smith's driving there. And although it slides, he keeps the momentum going and pulls away from John Newell, who's down to 3rd place. David Jenkins 4th. Richard Collett still in 5th. Collett hasn't lost that much speed after that knock going into the complex, but it's Mark Taylor leading from Ryan Smith. So the 2 teammates, so Taylor 1-2 at the moment. Challenge on for 3rd place there by David Jenkins. Brad Smith 2nd. 3rd place John Powell from brother Graham. Steve has dropped back in his refurb truck. They've done so well, Steve Powell's team, as have Paul Rivette's team, to get his truck, the black and blue one, the WD Motorsport Tacosys truck, get it back out on track after a hefty shunt in that 3rd Division 2 race. But great to see them back out. But 1 and 2 in this race are, by my maths, 1 and 2 in the championship. There is John Powell, brother Graham next up. Steve trying to fight back. Adam Bint, who's had a reasonable meeting as well in the Volvo White, is in the mix too. Eric Forstrom, longest distance traveller by far, is a little bit of wheel arch pinging off, I think, the 55 truck. Really nice to see Graham Powell getting some decent mileage in that truck as well, and got his point scoring very much underway this weekend. New leader, which is Ryan Smith. Now, Ryan's at the front of Division 1. 2 questions. Will he get fastest lap? Answer, probably. Second question, how far into the Division 2 mix will he get by the end of the race? This is the fascinating prospect for the race fans that are here at Thruxton enjoying the sunshine. A commendable decision by the British Truck Racing Association management to put the Division 2s out front. I know not everybody will agree with it, but you just look at the entertainment value of it. Absolutely superb to see the chasing going on. As you can see, the battling though in Division 2 is absolutely frenetic. Steve Powell's got the upper hand over Paul Rivette on the 2 badly damaged machines from the previous race. And it's still Luke Garrett. I'd be surprised if we see Luke Garrett beaten in this one. He's away. Is he going to get the overall win though? And will the Division 1 trucks catch up, and how far will they go? He's got a pack of 4 for 2nd place. Mark Taylor up ahead of John Newell. Then David Jenkins in the digraph, and I just love David's comment about that was the fastest truck race you'll ever see. He's probably right about that. It was an absolute scorching pace with he and Ryan Smith blistering away from the field, but John Newell looking handy here at the moment as well. There is Luke Garrett, the outright leading driver, getting away, and the view from Brad Smith's truck, blue skies, light cloud cover. That's enough of the weather forecast, but what's the forecast for Brad? Is he going to get a P2 here? Graham Powell at the moment is next up from John Bowler, then Adam Bint, Eric Forstrom. Now we've got Paul Rivette ahead of Steve Powell. So Paul making progress. Amazing that those 2 trucks are even out on track, to be honest, but superb job done by them, as Brad Smith in 2nd place goes with John Powell in 3rd. Graham Powell in 4th. See what Eric Forstrom could do, the 2 bonneted trucks together. Adam Bint in the all-black, Sisu giving chase, the Finnish driver, as David Jenkins looks for 3rd place on the inside line of John Newell. Here's the race leader, Ryan Smith. Jim Bennett is the first target for the Division 1 trucks to come through, and Jim has seen them. Great driver, Jim. Moves it across to the outside of the circuit, still enjoying very much his racing, but you can see now that the progress being made by the Division 1 trucks. Battle of the Bonnet still going on. Sisu chasing Volvo White. Very picturesque with the hills in the background here at Thruxton. We've got the new BARC centre here as well. Side by side, the 2 bonnets. Let's see whether Eric Forstrom here, he's got the inside line. Binty's going to try and hang on to it on the outside line of Campbell. Through Cobb, loses it, coming down towards Seagrave corner. Paul Rivette on the outside line. No, he's not. Tucked back in. He's going to look at the inside of Binty as they come out of the complex. Here's Brad Smith still in second place. Luke Garrett heading down the road with the fastest lap still. Third in class is still John Powell. Eric Forstrom getting away from Binty now. He's got his mirrors full of the drivers who were second and third in the championship coming into this round. So, tell you what, not only have those trucks been refettled well, but they're going real well as Adam Bint gets it sideways going down there out of Noble into Goodwood and manages to hang on to it. John Newell driving very well indeed and soaking up loads of pressure here from David Jenkins, who is looking to try and bag another P2. But Jenkins not looking perhaps as sharp as we've seen him earlier on in the meeting, but still bagging points. But he's at the moment on 157. Ryan Smith on 162. 166 points for Ryan Smith. I thought I'd done my maths wrong there, but yeah, he's got 166 points. So again, still pulling clear, 9 points clear of David Jenkins as Eric Forstrom leads Adam Bint. Binty with Paul Rivette right behind him at the WD Motorsport Tacosys back car. Binty looking very squirrely there. And I would suggest that it's track surface as well adding to that as Steve Powell starts to get stuck into Paul Rivette again. Those two dicing hard, and you could argue that was the cause of the clash between the two, because I think Rivette had the sideways moment and then Steve Powell was that close that contact was going to be inevitable as Rivette looks on the inside line here and goes through. Paul Rivette passes Adam Bint, so Paul looking to try and head up towards the podium in the refettled truck. We've got the Division 1 leader Ryan Smith in amongst these guys now as well, so Ryan with his lights on. He's already passed Steve Powell, looks to the outside line of Adam Bint. Binty will be aware, the drivers will have that in their thought process, that the leading Division 1 trucks will start to come through. And Ryan Smith, the job not being made easy. Ryan Smith doesn't mind though, loves the challenge. He'll continue to carve his way through the field as we watch John Powell still there. John running in third place from his brother Graham. Then, and a little sideways moment from Binty once again there. Former champion in Division 2, Adam Bint, still there as the Powell brothers get stuck in. John Powell chased by Graham. Graham really going well at the moment. John Newell under big pressure from the digraph machine of David Jenkins. What a battle we've got on for second position in Division 1. A titanic battle. And the race fans, of course, don't know where to look, because you've got the Division 2 battles going on as well as the Division 1s, and it keeps the entertainment going on all the way. There is Brad Smith, who is running in second place. Ryan Smith is, I think, possibly on for a podium. Richard Collett going a tad slow, sadly, so did have that contact on lap 1, which has been very physical for Rick Collett as the scrap goes on between Mark Taylor, John Newell and David Jenkins. Brad Smith's got clear track ahead of him. Luke Garrett's disappeared away. Mark Taylor could be on for another podium, and Mark here will be keen to do that. Podium at each event so far. Remember, this is his first full season. Now Eric Forstrom coming under pressure from the Division 1 leader Ryan Smith. Ryan's got the inside line. He's going to do the same on John Bowler as well. John's seen him. Great driving from the two Division 2 boys, and great driving from this Division 2 runner as well. Still the championship and race leader, the man from Radstock. Luke Garrett extends his lead. I don't think there's going to be enough time for Ryan Smith to close in. He's about to try and pass John Bowler as Luke Garrett goes on to the last lap. So Luke Garrett is going to win the race outright. It's been a long time since we've seen a Division 2 truck take an outright mixed truck win, even from the front of the grid. Brad Smith second. And here's the battle for third place, and Graham Powell looks down the inside and is going to grab that. So Graham Powell moves up into a podium position. This is great news to see Graham Powell back up on a podium. So many drivers in Division 2 capable of taking podium positions, and Graham Powell passes his brother John, who's had a super weekend, and they're being closed down on now by Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith here, he knows he's got the Division 1 win in the bag, and he's going to go for an overall podium from the back of a double reverse grid field. Incredible stuff, as John Newell and David Jenkins still very much engaged in the battle for third, and Mark Taylor here could get a P2. Ricky Collett slowing down, that might be a retirement for Collett. Mark Taylor could be a career best second place here for Mark, and that is going to be a big confidence boost for him, as Luke Garrett, that immaculate 42 truck, he's kept out of trouble completely this weekend. Through Brooklands, up Woodham Hill, in towards the club chicane, and there'll be a lot of clapping and cheering for him, probably even more so for Ryan Smith for what he's achieved in this race, coming through and challenging for third, which he's got. Ryan Smith is into third place overall. Stunning stuff. The 55 truck of Graham Powell running in fourth position. Third place in Division 2 as Luke Garrett takes the checkered flag and wins round 12 of the championship here at Thruxton. David Jenkins busy chasing. Watch for the checker. The inset. Brad Smith takes second place on the inset. Third, and showboating, another win for Ryan Smith. Smith takes it, then it is Graham Powell third across the line from his brother John, then John Bowler and Eric Forstrom, Paul Rivette. Here comes Mark Taylor, he's going to take second position, second, third and fourth all together in Division 1. It's so close, but Mark Taylor takes second position ahead of John Newell. Luke Garrett winning overall from Brad Smith. Division 1 win for Ryan Smith. It's a 1-2 for the Taylors team. Mark Taylor finishing in second place. Let's hear from our overall victor, Luke Garrett.
A real good weekend. Obviously that was a good finish to the day. I really wanted the overall win, so when I heard they were reversing, putting Div 1s behind Div 2s, obviously I had to get away as quick as possible, which is obviously what I tried my best to do. So yeah, it's been a good day. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy this format, and I hope we get to do it again.
It's good if you get a good start and you can, like I say, get a bit of pace in front of you. And yeah, it was a good race. Yeah. No, the lads, we all know what we're doing. We all give each other room. I think it was great for the spectators. We've done really well with the truck. We are building another one, well, another two. One should be out next year, but this should keep going.
Pole position, 4 wins, 4 fastest laps. We ain't got the biggest team in the paddock, but we've certainly got the most hard-working and most reliable, and the trust between me and Aaron and Nick, the new lad we've just brought on with us, is immense, and it's a team effort and everybody knows it. I'd like to say thank you to all sponsors as well. Maybe the last time you see this young lady, should I call her, because obviously the new truck should be rolled out at Donington, or if not before. So great pace, truck's amazing, you know, competitors are up the game. Division 2, credit to race with them. You know, I think we've had a fantastic weekend all round. If we could have wrote it, I don't know if we could have wrote it this good, but no, great event.
Yeah, really happy with that. I had an excellent race from my brother. And yeah, it's a shame he got a 5-second penalty really, because he took me on the track and he had the position. So, but you know, racing's racing. So yeah, no, it's all good though.
Good to see actually with that reverse format of classes there, that everyone was good, clean driving, good respect out there.
Yeah, in my opinion, that definitely needs to happen. You know, it's good for the spectators and it's good for us. I actually forgotten about it until I see Ryan in the mirror, and then I followed him through and tried to get through on my brother. So yeah, for me it works.
Second in class there, very good race overall between the class there, and great for the Taylors team.
Yep, it were a good end to weekend. We got truck. We went out first time on yesterday. It were good but not perfect, so we've been tweaking it through the day. We've put it back to last settings, where we come down on. Perfect. It's gone round like a dream today. So.
Ryan Smith extends the championship lead, 13 points ahead of David Jenkins, with John Newell third from Mark Taylor. Ray Coleman fifth now, ahead of Stuart Oliver, with Richard Collett in seventh. In Division 2, Luke Garrett 53 points clear of Paul Rivette and Brad Smith, with Steve Powell ahead of brother John and John Bowler in sixth. That's our racing action complete here from Thruxton. Please join us next time. It's at Donington Park. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.